Once upon a time, in the fabled land of opportunity, there dwelled a band of cunning traders. Now these traders were truly exceptional, for they traded not in fine silks, oils, or spices, but in that most elusive commodity of all. They traded in dreams. Dreams of romance. Dreams of power. And dreams of adventure. And they called these dreams Pontiacs. Now it came to pass that people came from miles around to trade for these Pontiacs. The young and adventurous came.
Pontiacs.
And the old and wise.
Pontiacs.
They came, and they came, and they came in such profuse numbers that the traders of these Pontiacs became known far and wide as the wearers of a mystic symbol. A mystic symbol that signified that they had attained an exalted place in the world of merchants. The cunning traders bore upon their friendly countenances the look of success. They smiled upon their customers and bade them come again and again to trade in their old dreams on new ones. And the traders waxed more and more prosperous.
God.
Their dwelling places became magnificent beyond belief, for they lived not in tents, but in palaces of stone and steel. These were surpassed only by the grandeur of the temples in which they worked.
Wowee.
And they worked hard. But all work and no play is not a good thing. So they played as hard as they worked. Their playthings were wondrous to behold. They had about them the warmth and light and music that success brings with it. And there was joy in their tribe. Oh, but there was a fly in the frankincense. Other less wily traders became jealous of the sellers of Pontiacs and longed to possess the mystic symbol. They appealed to their wizards, and their wizards, likewise feeling pangs of jealousy, used all the powers at their command and created dreams of elegance, luxury, and prestige to help them steal away the mystic symbol. And the sounds of their success encroached upon the happy Pontiac traders, and the Pontiac traders became worried. They appealed to their builders of dreams to strike back and build dreams of such grandeur that forevermore the Pontiac traders would have no equal in the land. Lo and behold, the wizards at Pontiac heard their plea. They gathered the most brilliant designers from the ends of the earth. The finest materials from across the 7 seas. And they schemed and plotted and invented until, wonder of wonders, they had created a line of dreams more spacious and more magnificent than any they had ever made in all history. But words alone cannot tell of these wonders they have performed. The dream itself must be beheld. That dream is here now to see, to enjoy, to be marveled at. Behold the 1971 Pontiac Granville. It's a dream.
In the development of a new model, exterior and interior stylists work very closely to achieve a total effect. Bill Porter, who styles the exterior, and John Shetler, responsible for interiors, recognized this goal for 1971 and have designed the kind of product you've been asking for. There has been a whole lot more emphasis on interiors for the 71 product. They're with it. And the full-size Pontiacs this year are completely new cars. That's the only way to say it. All new.
Pure Pontiac will lift your spirits high. Pure Pontiac will fill your empty heart and steal it away.
You can see here in the Catalina that there's an entirely new theme. In the front, there's a new split-center theme for an unmistakable Pontiac look. The wide horizontal grille is below the dual headlamps, and the new bumper is one piece, no valance panel. The total glass area is greatly increased, an improvement in appearance and visibility. Flush-mounted glass, plus a lot more tumble home and turn under for the body sheet metal. It gives the car a smooth, rounded look for a family resemblance throughout the line. The rear features split horizontal tail lamps for a new look. You can be proud of the way Pontiacs look. Even more important, they will have great appeal to your customers. The styling is fresh, imaginative, different, and the quality of the trim has been raised this year. The overall effect is a much richer interior. If there's one single feature that really catches your eye, it's the instrument panel. It's big, has a lot of the Grand Prix's cockpit look. The long horizontal look has given way to round instrument clusters, big and bold and different. The overall feel is one of function, modern sculpture, in keeping with exterior styling. Then, for the prospect who wants even more luxury, there's the new Catalina Brougham series. It offers a lot of extra styling features, such as specific exterior molding. And on the inside, you get the Bonneville interior. This is rich looking, with a custom cushioned steering wheel and Castilian leather trim plate. A lot of thought and a lot of money have gone into Catalina Brougham interiors. They'll pay off. Let's look at the new design theme for Bonneville. The car has that long hood, short deck look, the look that appeals to your prospects. Here's the story. Up until this year, the Catalina has always been stretched into a Bonneville by increasing wheelbase just forward of the rear wheels and adding length in the deck lid. This year, the increase in wheelbase is just forward of the front wheels, and the added length is in the hood. This increased wheelbase means more interior room. When you tell a prospect the Bonneville is bigger than Catalina, he can see the difference in that big hood out in front of him and feel the difference in comfort when he sits in that roomy interior. Anybody that sees the car knows it's a 1971 model because it's all new. Add the distinctive grille and the car looks a lot richer and bigger than Catalina, and is. It's right for that particular group of buyers who want to step up. The Safari and Grand Safari station wagons for this year are the roomiest wagons ever, 227 inches. The rear doors are 4 inches wider than on other 4-door models for easy access to both second and third seats. The third seat is forward-facing, something wagon prospects go for, and there's more headroom and legroom than ever. You know, it's rather difficult to make a station wagon look new and different. but the glide-away disappearing tailgate offered a chance for fresh styling this year. The side glass wraps up toward the roof and around the rear. And the step-up in the roof adds to the new look also. The Grand Safari provides the big, rich wagon that will satisfy any wagon prospect. There's something new for the wood grain side paneling, too. It picks up the body color of the car very faintly for a pleasing look, a more compatible feel. It's something you can point out to a prospect. Wagons are completely different from other models in styling and engineering, and the market for them is different also. The Pontiac lineup, both intermediates and full size, recognizes this difference and is aimed at satisfying the specialized demand. This is a 1970 Le Mans, as you can see. And this is the 1971 Le Mans. There's a new hood and front end that give the car a completely different look. The same striking difference is true of T37. The front end treatment is obviously 71, and the rear has been restyled. The segment of the market interested in the intermediates is definitely growing, and Pontiac products are finding excellent acceptance. They're right for their market, ready for 1971. The same up-to-date story is true of GTO. There's a unique hood and a new Endura bumper. This body-colored bumper styling, in addition to being a good protective feature, is extremely well accepted by the public. The fact is, competition is doing its best to copy it. Here's another feature. The GTO hood and bumper are available as an option on Le Mans Sport. The styling concept is aimed squarely at a particular market segment. The trims are all new. Doors, seats, everywhere. And for the first time, cloth is available in Le Mans.
Firebird for 1971 is in an enviable position. The 70s styling has been extremely well accepted by the public, and the changes we've made this year will make the car even more attractive. It's definitely a 1971 model, and I feel sure that sales will continue to increase throughout the model year.
Interiors are all new. New cloths, colors, and patterns, with new smart-looking high-back bucket seats. Standard door panels now have a full-length molded plastic armrest with a padded vinyl insert. The custom trim includes rear seat ashtrays, and there's a new optional rear console with ashtray and belt buckle storage packets. There's a lot of action in the small personal car market today, and Firebird is gaining a bigger share of the market every month. Now, let's move on to the exciting Grand Prix. It will be received by the public as a completely new car. As you know, Grand Prix pioneered the long hood short deck style that has become so popular. It was also the first car to suggest a hint of the classic cars of the 1930s. The radiator grille is reminiscent of the Duesenberg. Single headlamps, bumpers that eliminate the need for valence panels, and pronounced sculptured fenders to complement the long hood. This year, the classic theme is complete in a way that makes the car look like as new and different as a new series introduction. The rear end has been completely restyled to make it more consistent with the classic theme of the car. Give it a boat tail look. Here, too, the product has been tailored to a specific segment of the market. People who want something distinctive, something in the classic tradition, a unique car. This year, they have it. That brings us to Ville, the most exciting car from Pontiac in many years. It's a car that will allow you to go after a totally new market, the buyer who's interested in a true luxury car. Management decided that if the stylist could design a new luxury car with a more formal roofline and more interior roominess, and still retain the long hood, short deck look, Pontiac would have a unique, beautiful car. They tried it, and it worked. The styling concept gives the car a great look. From the front, it's a totally new car. The long hood and short deck combine with a formal, elegant roofline for a slightly rakish appearance, and you get the best of both worlds. From the rear, it's a brand new car. There's as much interior room as you'll find in any true luxury car on the market. And the interior trim, particularly in the custom option, is as rich as any American car on the road. The interior is coordinated with the exterior, the same shapes and lines repeated. For example, the exterior has a bold, forceful look. The instruments are contained in big, bold clusters. And there's a definite cockpit look, much like Grand Prix. From anywhere you look at it, you know this is a new model. And you know it's for the buyer who wants the very best in automotive styling. Ville will reestablish Pontiac as the leader in a luxury car market that has shifted toward more expensive models over the past few years. In doing so, it will lend prestige and leadership to the complete Pontiac line, help set a trend to Pontiac. Ville, pure Pontiac and pure good news. But styling is only half the good news. Engineering for 1971 is every bit as outstanding. Here's the story from Pontiac's chief engineer, Steve Malone, and Bill Collins, the assistant chief engineer.
HO and go down to 9.3 on the Super Duty. That really goes. That's a good job.
Sure does.
Air pollution has become a major issue, and we have found ourselves becoming increasingly involved. It has been a challenge to produce an engine with less pollutants and at the same time maintain performance. We've been able to do just that for 1971. Through extensive design studies, we found we could go to regular fuel engines and maintain Pontiac's traditional performance. Acceleration tests on our 1971 engines compared to our 1970 power plants bear this out. The 71s have the same get up and go as last year's engine. This particular engine, the 455 HO, will really move out.
It's our hottest engine for 71. Available for the first time on Firebird and the Le Mans. Many of the intake and exhaust components come from the Ram Air 4 engine. The performance is better than our last year's 455 engine.
You know, prospects are interested in a lot of other things in addition to performance. Economy, for example. We set out to make these new engines more economical, and we did it. We've run very carefully controlled tests to measure the amounts of gas used. And on each engine, we maintain good gas economy on regular fuel. Now we all know that miles per gallon will differ from driver to driver. But under any given equal set of conditions, the new engines do deliver excellent mileage on regular gas. When you consider the lower cost of regular gas, there is an improvement in operating costs per mile. There's another plus to using regular gas, a very important plus in today's pollution-conscious climate. Unleaded gas leaves less pollutants behind. We weren't ordered to go this route by the government. We did this on our own on a voluntary basis.
We've done another thing this year regarding pollution, also on our own. The evaporative emission system used on the 1970 California cars is now standard on all Pontiacs. Here's how it works. When a car is parked, engine heat evaporates a small amount of fuel from the carburetor bowl. and a hot atmosphere does the same to the fuel tank. Vapors are channeled into this canister and absorbed by the charcoal. Then, when the engine is running, the vapors are sucked back out of the canister, through the carburetor, and into the engine where they are burned. It's a story a prospect can understand and appreciate.
Let's consider the GTO specifically for a moment. In my opinion, the public still really doesn't know just how great the Endura bumper is, and there's still nothing quite like it around. We've run test after test. Thought you might be interested in seeing the results. You see, no damage. And that's the way it comes out every time. There's just no comparison. It's the toughest bumper around and the best looking. That's the reason we're making it an option on the Le Mans Sport.
Here's another engineering feature that was an industry first on the 1968 Grand Prix, the self-regulating integrated circuit alternator. This year it will be on every model. What does it mean to an owner? It's maintenance free, and there's less voltage variation, increased battery and bulb life.
Okay, here's another Pontiac first, an industry exclusive for 1971. The Delco X maintenance-free battery. No water addition for life of the battery, considerably more power when compared to a conventional battery of the same size. Higher performance throughout its life and less tendency to discharge when left unused for long periods. This has been achieved by a breakthrough in plate chemistry. No question about it, a lot of these engineering advances are good sales points. Now you've already seen the styling highlights of the line, but I'd like to show you how some of these features are also very functional. First of all, Pontiac's pronounced turn under makes it easier to get in and out of the car. There's more travel in the front seat and more headroom in the back seat, and more rear seat legroom, all a result of the increased wheelbase and the use of the new formal roof on Granville. The ashtray is where it should be for driver use, and the instrument panel not only looks good, it is easily serviced in the same manner introduced on the Firebird. Any bulb can be changed in less than a minute, and separate ground straps have been eliminated from instruments, so they can also be easily removed from the face of the panel. Same story with the radio. It's going to make owners happy because service will take less time.
Here's another thing that will make owners happy: increased room in the wagons. The kick-up in the roof not only looks good style-wise, but gives more headroom. And the increased length allows more comfort for the third seat passenger. Remember, that third seat is forward-facing in answer to customer preference. Now be sure and get your wagon prospect out for a drive, because there's a new, great handling story to be told. It's a new leaf suspension as opposed to the coil springs used up until now. The leaf springs have a higher resistance to side motion, and so make the wagon handle better. To give you an idea of the better handling, we installed an accelerometer with a readout meter on a 1970 wagon with the coil springs. As you can see, there is a side sway. Then we put the same device in a 1971 Safari and drove the wagon over the same course at the same speed. You can see that there's a definite improvement for 1971.
Of course, the most obvious, and therefore one of the best sales features, is the new disappearing tailgate, Glide Away. This is a new concept and should prove extremely interesting to prospects. It's one of those things that can be easily demonstrated. Seems to lend an air of advanced design to the whole vehicle. This brings us to one of the most outstanding engineering improvements on the 71 product, and one of the most difficult features to show or demonstrate: Pontiac Ride and Quietness. Let me urge you to drive the cars, because you will then know through personal experience that the new Pontiacs, especially the Granville, are far superior to the 70 product and to 71 competition. So far as quietness goes, we've made several changes that add up to a significant improvement. Body mounts are softer. There's a more effective weather strip design around the window. The exhaust pipes are laminated for better sound suppression. And there are fewer body openings, so less chance of improper sealing during production. The result is quietness that can be measured. We installed some very complex and sensitive sound recording equipment in a Granville, then drove it through various traffic conditions. We did the same thing with a 70 Bonneville, drove it over the exact same routes. Here are the results as they showed up electronically. You will note that the Granville is significantly quieter than the 70 Bonneville. Believe me, you can hear that difference.
1970 Bonneville, 35 miles per hour. (1971) Granville, 35 miles per hour.
They're quiet cars, and you can prove it with a demonstration drive.
It's the same with ride. You can definitely feel how soft and comfortable the car rides, but it's difficult to demonstrate. We did come up with a device for measuring ride, though, and I think you'll be impressed with the results. We used a vibrating reed tachometer to sense the motion of the test cars as they were driven. We installed the device on a Granville and a 1970 Bonneville, both driven over exactly the same courses, at exactly the same speeds by the same driver. The results definitely showed Granville superiority. The Granville not only shows less abrupt changes in ride, but a smaller frequency of change. There is no question that Catalina through Granville, the 1971 Pontiacs offer the smoothest, quietest automobiles we have ever produced. In this area, we'll be way ahead of the competition. Still, for ride and quietness, the only true measure is to get in the car and drive it.
Give it a try. You'll be as impressed as we are.
Pure Pontiac. Short, memorable. It says everything we want to say about Pontiac, quickly, effectively. And it's so strong, it'll be used in everything we do for the entire model year.
Pure Pontiac will lift your spirits high.
New ride, new luxury, new roominess in a brand new automobile. Pure Pontiac. Until now, no new car started out a classic. Pure Pontiac.
Once in a while, there's a car that's a cut above. Once in a while, and all at once you see it, and you get behind the wheel, and all at once you know that this is real. Pure Pontiac will lift your spirits high.
The 1971 Catalina Brougham. We wouldn't call it a Brougham if it wasn't rich enough to earn the name. Pure Pontiac.
Pontiac will lift your spirits high. Pure Pontiac will fill your empty heart and steal it away.
Once in a while, there's a thought that occurs to you. Once in a while. Once
The 1971 Firebird. The 1971 Firebird Esprit. The 1971 Firebird Formula 400. They're all pure Pontiac. Pure value, the 1971 Catalina, and it's pure Pontiac.
You've seen our great product lineup for 1971. I'm sure you'll all agree that both the styling and engineering are outstanding. We all feel that our new models and model alignment offer the best opportunity we've had in a long time, and they will give us the head start needed to make the 70s a real success. But you know and I know that styling and engineering alone won't do the job. We must also give our customers quality products, reliable products, and products that are delivered on time. We are working to meet these goals, and we'll make progress in 1971. I think you'll be interested and impressed to see some examples of the effort we are devoting to the production of a quality car. For example, 25 to 30 production models each day will be put on a road simulator to check for such things as squeaks, rattles, broken wells, and grounded tailpipes. If any defect is found, including those items related to production procedures, we get an immediate fix. As more of this specially designed equipment becomes available, more cars will be checked each day. Of course, this particular check is at the end of the production cycle, and there are many more that precede it. We have installed a computerized system in the car assembly plant to relay information to production process operations. This system provides accurate, right now, status reports on production errors
and allows us to plan and properly direct corrective action. Line operators use IBM input units to record coded production discrepancies, which are fed to a computer. The operator removes an inspection ticket and records all items which have not been corrected at the process station along the line. General foremen have a printout every hour of the high-frequency items. In addition to being provided several special reports, production management can inquire about the status of any given operation. The inquiry is answered including the quantity of errors right to the moment of inquiry. Our goal is 0 defects, and our target is to correct errors on the production line, or as we say, build them right the first time. Another example is an automatic setting fixture that properly locates a door before it is hung. This procedure was developed in cooperation with Fisher Body. In an effort to eliminate mistakes in painting bodies, we have almost completely automated the painting process. The result has been a consistently higher quality finish. When a discrepancy does occur, a new vapor reflow repair technique makes the surface good as new, so that the repair doesn't show up after the car is delivered to the customer. As you know, engine oil and coolant leaks can be a prime source of owner complaints. Steady progress has been made in this area. In fact, Pontiac has had the least incident of field problems in General Motors for the last 3 years, the result of 100% engine air tests. Numerical control equipment has been installed in our crankshaft department and now automatically checks every shaft for 29 critical dimensions. If a discrepancy is found, it is indicated by key punch on an inspection card and automatically attached to the crankshaft for rejection. Tires have been an off-and-on source of problems, and we are working with each tire manufacturer toward the elimination of these problems. Pontiac designed and built special equipment for testing radial and lateral force variation of tires. All tire manufacturers are presently using this equipment to verify quality before shipping tires. We continually monitor on our equipment at the home plant tires from all manufacturers for all Pontiac car lines. Another area constantly being reviewed for improvement is tire and wheel assembly balancing. The weight supply bins are automatically tied into the balance machine so that as each tire is checked, a light tells the operator which weight to use. This eliminates operator judgment. Today's instrument panels have extremely complex circuitry due to the number of accessories and options. It requires new approaches to check these panels after subassembly. Now each panel is connected to a computer. Using the computer's logic, all panels are electrically checked against the manifest for all options and accessories and for all functional items. Controlled voltage input also checks each circuit in the system for potential shorts. With this method, we should eliminate the electrical failures that may occur shortly after the owner takes possession. As a further check each day, between 20 and 30 cars are taken out of the plant and driven over all types of roads, under all kinds of conditions. If any problem develops, of course, it's corrected. The objective here is to catch any problem that might relate to the production and assembly operations. That's just a few of the quality and reliability checks we're running on the 1971 products. We're doing everything we can to make the 1971 products as outstanding in quality and reliability as they are in style. I said styling and engineering alone wouldn't do the job. The final elements are a strong dealer group and a well-trained, aggressive sales force. The final element is you. The 1971 products are outstanding, and I'm firmly convinced that together, with all the elements in place, we can make this one of the best years ever. When you get your cars, see the public reaction. You'll know what I mean.
Once in a while, there's a thought that occurs to you. Once in a while. Once in a while, there's a car that's a cut above. Once in a while. And all at once you see it, and you get behind the wheel. And all at once you know that this is real.
As Pontiac's general sales manager, I have a lot of confidence in what this new Ventura II is going to mean to us. That is, increased sales. Not just Ventura II, but for our whole line, particularly in the Le Mans and Catalina. Our announcement date in March comes along at a time when it will give us a boost in showroom traffic, additional excitement in the opening of the spring market. To be honest, we were scheduled to come out a little earlier, but the strike delayed production startup. This small delay will make no significant difference. It's still a brand new car with no other announcement competition. The traffic Ventura II will bring to showrooms is a new kind of traffic for Pontiac. People who probably never before felt that a Pontiac was within their economic reach. Many of them are going to find when they get there that not only is the Pontiac Ventura II within their reach, but so are Le Mans and Catalina. Our national advertising is going to lead these people into our showrooms with copy like this. Now there's a small Pontiac with a small car price for small car lovers. It's aimed at getting as many as possible of these valiant Falcon, Dart, Rambler, and Nova owners and prospects into our showrooms. From that point on, it's up to you. This means that you can take the sales approach of moving some of these prospects up from Ventura II. This is important, vitally important, because production of Ventura IIs, this year anyway, will be limited. Believe me, it's no good to have 30 or 40 orders in your pocket that can't be filled. It's better to carefully evaluate a prospect's need and then, where appropriate, put him in a Le Mans. He'll be happier in the long run, and it pays off for you right now. Be smart. Recognize a customer's need. Sell him on your product, and then fill his need from availability. Don't get trapped by engaging in what could be termed deceptive or unfair selling techniques. Use your head and make Ventura II pay off for you. Let me give you a couple examples of what I became familiar with in my previous job on a corporation marketing staff. When Ford came out with Mustang production, it was limited. Yet salesmen wrote orders and wrote orders that couldn't be filled. As a result, they lost a lot of sales to people who might have bought Fairlane or Galaxy. But they learned their lesson. When Maverick came out, limited production the first year, they did a great job of turning Maverick lookers into Ford buyers. The same thing with Chevrolet a year ago when they brought out their hardtop Chevelle. It was in short supply, so they did a bang-up job of moving prospects into Malibu or Impala. You can do the same thing with Ventura II. It's a great car, as you'll see later in the program, and it more than holds its own against competition. But most important of all, it will give you a chance to sell Pontiacs to a segment of the market we've never been able to touch, the compact car buyers. Not all these people really want a compact. They just haven't been shown how they can own a Le Mans or Catalina almost as easy as a Ventura II. Now, we'd like to show you how Ventura II can fit into your planning.
Ventura II is available in two models, the coupe and the four-door sedan. Overall length is about 195 inches. That's approximately 8 inches shorter than Le Mans. On a 111-inch wheelbase, it's a full 3 inches longer than Firebird, only an inch short of the Le Mans wheelbase. Ventura II shares the same basic engineering with Chevrolet Nova, and that gives us an excellent sales feature. General Motors engineers recognize the Nova as being the most reliable car in the corporation because of its design simplicity, as evidenced by its low warranty. We can count on Ventura II to offer the same durability, but not the same appearance. It's a Pontiac, and it looks like a Pontiac. The whole front end is new. Fender, hood, and the split grille, falling right in line with all our other models. You know, we've got a 250 cubic inch, 6-cylinder regular fuel engine, standard on both models. Now it delivers 145 horsepower, more than adequate performance for the average compact car prospect. There's only one engine option, a 307 cubic inch V8, putting out 200 horsepower on regular gas. It makes this car really move out. Decor moldings are available, but separately, not as a group. Now, the body side moldings are for appearance only, not for protection, as on our other 1971 models. So don't oversell your prospect here. All right, the chassis. There's a partial frame very similar to the Firebird, with front coil springs and rear leaf springs. The combination gives a nice, tight, rattle-free body with a comfortable ride and good directional stability, even in hard cornering and crosswind situations. Drum brakes are standard with the same self-adjusting feature found on our other models. Dual master cylinders and a foot-operated emergency brake are also standard. The Ventura II incorporates all standard GM safety features with the exception of the side guard door beam, the front seat belt retractors, and the day-night inside mirror. Now, the standard tire is E78 by 14 black rayon on a 5-inch rim. White sidewall belted tires are available as an option. Now, so far as exterior colors go, it's the exact same lineup as available on the Le Mans series. And Cordova top colors are the same as with our other 1971 cars. The top material is exactly the same, and a roof drip molding is included with the Cordova top. Now move to the rear of the Ventura II, and you can see that the Pontiac identity is very strong. It's the same thing on the inside. A very stylish car that just doesn't quite look like a compact. The standard interior is cloth and Morocco. 3 colors, blue, jade green, or sandalwood. Now, the optional all-Morocco trim is also available in black and saddle. Foam cushion front seat, standard in all models. Now, the standard steering wheel is the same wheel that's on T37, Le Mans, and Catalina. Now, it comes in black only, as does the optional custom sports wheel found on our other 71s. Now, to get a color-keyed wheel, the customer must order the custom cushion wheel option. The standard interior also includes some other items: rear seat armrests and ashtrays, formed rubber floor covering. a slide-action windshield wiper switch, and a tilt-out, easy-to-locate and operate ashtray, a rotary-action glove box latch, and for comfortable operation, particularly for women, the suspended throttle pedal. The 3-speed manual column shift is standard with both the 6 and the 8 engines. Our dependable 2-speed automatic is optional for both engines, and the turbo hydromatic is available with the V8 only. As you know, the Ventura II has been built around an economy-priced theme, so there are only 34 options and accessories available. However, many people would rather have a dressed-up compact than a stripped-down intermediate, so we do have some very attractive group options. Here's what I mean. Bucket seats are available in the 2-door coupe only in black or saddle trim. This option, the bucket seat group, also includes custom carpets and additional floor insulation and foam rear seat padding, rear compartment floor mat, a cigar lighter, which may also be ordered as a separate option, and a rear view non-glare mirror. This mirror is available as a separate option also. In addition, this group option includes an underhood pad, a right-hand door switch for the dome light, and a glove box lamp. The basic group includes the 2-speed automatic transmission with the 6-cylinder engine, turbo hydromatic with the 8, E78 by 14 white sidewall rayon tires, and AM radio, chrome wheel trim rings, and power steering. It makes a good package for the prospect who wants to make his car a little richer, a little more dressed up, and more comfortable to drive. There's a convenience lamp group that includes an underhood lamp, an instrument panel courtesy lamp, an ashtray lamp, a glove box lamp, and a trunk lamp. This is the only way any of these lamps can be ordered as a group. And then a really sharp option for those prospects who identify with performance automobiles, the Sprint. There's a special black textured grille, a right-hand body color mirror, wheel trim rings, and white belted tires on a 6-inch rim, special Sprint identification. The Sprint includes a 3-speed manual floor shift transmission. Now, the floor shift is available only when the Sprint option is ordered. Add the custom sports steering wheel and custom carpets, and this is a Ventura II that's hard to turn down. The Sprint option is available on the 2-door coupe only, with either the 6 or 8 engine. Now, it can be ordered with either bench or bucket seats, but the trim must be vinyl. Of course, another option could well go along with the Sprint, the heavy-duty suspension. Now, that includes a larger front stabilizer bar, a rear stabilizer, firmer springs, and shocks. It's available on the 2-door coupe with a V8 engine. Consoles, available with the Sprint option or with bucket seats and turbo hydromatic, not available with 2-speed automatic. Another option your prospects will find interesting are bumper guards. They're very nicely designed and offer good protection for light impact situations, available front and rear. Now, that's a few of the most interesting options. There are enough to satisfy the prospects who want to build up their car, yet not so many as to destroy the image of Ventura II as an economy car. It's good looking, offers good performance at reasonable cost. Above all, don't forget its reliability. It's a sound car engineering-wise, and you can feel free to build this point into your sales presentations. Now, what about the competition? Since it's a new market, we thought we'd show you some of the major competitors and let you see for yourself what they look like, what they offer, and how they measure up against our Ventura. Meet Jack Riley.
Hi, everyone.
He'll give you the information on the competition. Jack, what's the score on Maverick?
Well, Dave, not really too much. There's nothing very new for Maverick in 1971. Let's take a look. The front is exactly the same. The silhouette hasn't changed a bit. And the rear is the same old styling. They do have a few new exterior colors, though. And for the interior, there are new fabrics and new colors. Other than that, everything's the same. So how do they merchandise this car? Well, They say their first year was so successful, they just didn't want to change anything. Okay, not a bad approach, but it's so easy to overcome.
I'll say it is, particularly when you can buy a Ventura II that is a completely new model. And look at the difference in styling and quality of construction. Maverick has a skinny, lightweight front bumper with a lot of painted metal. Ventura II, a heavy, protective bumper, a richer-looking front end. Same story in the back, small bumper and very small tail lamps, as opposed to Ventura's big, expensive bumper and longer tail lamps. Our interiors offer about the same type of trims, but there's an unmistakable overall appearance of more quality, more value. Generally speaking, it's the same story of Pontiac versus Ford, a better car overall.
Maverick offers unitized construction. They push this, by the way. About the same type design as Ventura II. This car has a wheelbase of 103 inches and an overall length of 179.4 inches and a weight of about 2,600 pounds.
The Ventura II Coupe has 8 more inches wheelbase, is a foot longer, and weighs almost 500 pounds more. Now, without going into details, the car is also wider, with a wider tread, and every interior dimension is significantly bigger, front and rear, except front seat legroom. Later in the meeting, you'll receive a booklet containing detailed specifications. Check the trunk, too. It's a lot bigger. Ventura II is a bigger, more comfortable car, and it rides better.
Now Maverick has introduced a 4-door model this year for the first time, on a longer wheelbase with longer overall length. And the interior dimensions are a little bit better than their 2-door.
Ventura II's 4-door model is still longer, wider, heavier, more roomy inside.
Maverick's standard engine is 170 cubic inch 6, 100 horsepower. There are 2 optional 6s, a 200 cubic inch, 115 horsepower, and a 250 inch, 145 horsepower. They've recently added a V8 to try and keep up with the competition.
Their biggest optional 6 is the equal of our standard, and their V8 is smaller than ours. Here are a couple of other tips. To get a floor shift on a Maverick, you must order the first optional engine. Not so on Ventura II. Also, if you order their 250-inch engine, the same as our standard, you must take the automatic transmission. No manual available. Jack, anything else you can think of?
Yes. Maverick offers a flipper-type rear window and an accent group of exterior moldings to dress it up.
So far as the accent group goes, Ventura II allows the prospect to select his exterior moldings individually. More flexibility in pricing. Our normal roll-up rear window is just one more example of Ventura II's quality engineering. It costs more money to put in this type of window.
Speaking of money, the 2-door costs $2,175, the 4-door $2,235, and the 2-door grabber, their sports model, $2,354.
Now, before we go into price comparisons, let me say this. Ventura II's final pricing was not completed when we put this program together. So we've some assumptions based on the best estimates we could get. We believe we've allowed more than enough leeway to make our comparisons valid. Okay, across the board, you can buy a Ventura II, including the Sprint Ventura II, for under $250 more money. That's with the Sprint and Grabber comparably equipped. Then if you make engines comparable, that difference narrows down to about $150. And just look what you get. A longer, wider, heavier, better riding, more comfortable, roomier car with obviously more quality. Add Pontiac prestige as opposed to a Ford, and we've got ourselves a great position when compared with the Maverick. Ventura II costs more, but it's so easy to show a prospect why. Let's take a look at the Mercury Comet.
The Comet is nothing in the world but a slightly restyled Maverick. In the front, there's a different grille, but the same inexpensive, thin bumper. The body dimensions, exterior and interior, are almost identical to Maverick. In the rear, The features are a thin bumper and rather meager tail lamps. Interiors are just about the same quality as Maverick, with the addition of a cigar lighter and carpeting as standard. There's really nothing much more I can say about the styling or specifications. It's just another Maverick.
Just another Maverick. It's a good line to use. But let's remember one thing. Our competitors are going to use that line about Ventura II as well. Just another Nova. So what's the answer? In the case of Maverick and Comet, Ventura II is bigger inside and out, heavier, shows a lot of extra quality out where the prospect can see it. What about engines?
Well, the same standard engine, same two optional sixes, with the addition of a 302 cubic inch V8 option. Still not as big as our V8, but pretty close. Price-wise, though, Comets, including their GT, are about $50 more than the Mavericks.
So, comparing base models, Ventura II costs a little over $100 more. Make the engines comparable and the Sprint GT package comparable, and there's even less difference. We're in good shape with Comet. You can show all the extra value you get for about $100, and you can sell the Pontiac name over Mercury. Jack, what's next?
A Plymouth Duster. That's what they call their two-door Valiant. The four-door model is simply called a Valiant. Like all the compacts, including Ventura II, Plymouth uses unitized body construction. Bumpers are slightly heavier than Maverick and Comet, and the side profile is much the same. Exterior and interior dimensions are ever so slightly bigger than the Ford and Mercury products. Rear tail lamps are special to the Duster, not as elaborate on the Valiant. The standard interior is all vinyl with a cloth and vinyl trim, an extra cost option. Carpeting, a day and night mirror, and a cigar lighter are also extra cost options. The standard engine for Duster and Valiant is a 198 cubic inch 6, delivering 125 horsepower, with a 145 horsepower 6 and a 230 horsepower V8 available as extra cost options. Ventless glass front windows are found only on the two-door models. Same with the swing-out rear window. There's also a Duster 340, same car as this, with a 340 cubic inch, 275 horsepower engine. Heavy-duty suspension and a few appearance items. Costs about $400 more. And it could be tough to insure.
Price-wise, Ventura II and the Plymouth Compacts are very close. Between basic two-door models, there's only about $130 difference. Four-door models, as little as $80 difference. Make the engines comparable, and you can buy a Ventura II for only $90 or so more than a Duster, only about $40 more than a Valiant. And just think of all the extra value features you can give a prospect. Heavier, richer appearing front bumper. Heavier rear bumper. More stylish tail lamps. Conventional, more expensive rear window on the coupe. Cloth and vinyl trim. Extra cost on Plymouth. Ventura is heavier with 3 inches more wheelbase for a more comfortable, smoother ride. Better handling. And generally speaking, there's a more roomy interior. And then there's always a topper, a Pontiac, as opposed to simply a Plymouth. Jack, what about the Dodge Demon?
The Dodge Demon is essentially the same car as the Plymouth Duster, with a revised front and rear treatment. It looks about the same size because it is. Other than 4 inches difference in overall length, the wheelbase, width, and interior dimensions and weight are the same. The standard engine is the same, and the optional engine the same. The only difference I can find is that the Demon costs $30 more than the Duster.
That means with comparable engines, Ventura II is just about $10 more than the Dodge Demon. And all those features we just talked about that make Ventura a better buy than Duster apply to the Dodge Demon. And you want to know something else? I forgot to mention our standard foam padded front seats. It's an extra cost option on the Demon and on Duster and Valiant. Sure, Dodge and Plymouth are playing that same game as Mercury and Ford. One car out under two names. And GM is too, with Nova and Ventura II. But any way you look at it, our cars offer a lot more value than the competition. Call them what you want. You can still show they're bigger, perform better, and offer more significant engineering excellence and quality. Now, let's consider the Dodge Dart and Swinger.
Dart is the four-door sedan. Swinger, which you see here, is the two-door hardtop. It's a larger car than the Dodge Demon and Plymouth Duster family, with a 111-inch wheelbase and a few inches more in overall length. Interior dimensions are slightly increased also. One of the best features is the true hardtop styling. The car is about 100 pounds heavier. Both models offer the exact same engine as the Valiant and Demon. 125 horsepower 6 standard, 145 horsepower 6 optional, and a 230 horsepower V8. On the inside, you'll notice that the car does offer a little more value than the Plymouth. Carpeting is standard on the Swinger, but not on Dart. A deluxe steering wheel is standard on Swinger, but Swinger only. And a dual horn is a Swinger standard. A cigar lighter is standard on both models. However, as with Plymouth, the standard interior is vinyl, and foam is an option. The basic Dart runs about $2,450, and the basic Swinger, $2,561.
Ventura II has the same wheelbase and is about 6 inches shorter overall. However, track and overall width are considerably greater. This translates into a Pontiac that, again, generally speaking, is a more roomy car. Now, so far as engines go, Ventura II offers more standard horsepower. Price-wise, our position is excellent. Our basic sedan runs approximately $25 more than the Dart. But add a cloth and vinyl trim, which isn't available, by the way, and a comparable engine to Dart, and a cigar lighter to Ventura II, and it's a different picture. Comparably equipped, Ventura II costs less than Dart. Make Ventura II comparable with Swinger, and Swinger still costs over $130 more. When you come up against Dodge Dart and Swinger, you've got everything going for you, including price.
There's one more car that falls right in with the Dodge Swinger. Another case where one manufacturer puts out the same car under two different names, just like the Plymouth Duster and Dodge Demon. This time it's the Dodge Swinger here and the Plymouth Scamp. The two cars are identical in every way, except for a difference of 4 inches in overall length. Standard equipment and engines are the same, with the only difference being that Scamp has the cloth and vinyl seat standard. The price, $2,561, exactly the same price as the Dodge Swinger.
So the Ventura II story of size and performance, plus a price advantage, holds true for the Plymouth Scamp. That covers our major competitors, and I'd like to thank you, Jack, for helping us out as we present the comparisons. Of course, he didn't have a whole lot to work with. So let's sum it up. Nobody offers a standard floor shift. Nobody offers a standard day-night mirror. And only a couple of our competitors include a standard cigar lighter or carpeting. Now, that goes for us, too. I just wanted to make it clear that we're all on an equal footing regarding these accessories. Now, let's go into the Ventura II pluses, and there are so many of them. First, the exclusives. Our standard engine is bigger and delivers more horsepower. The overall car is wider, the track is wider, and Ventura II is heavier. These are features that give Ventura II a better ride, better performance, better handling characteristics. And then, consider some of our other features. Our front bumpers are so much heavier, and I think better styled than most. It's the same with the rear, including the tail lamps. We have quality cloth and vinyl seats, foam padding in the front seat cushions. Most of our competitors do not. And our interiors, in most cases, are noticeably more roomy. We have a conventional glove box. Several other cars have a simple and inexpensive shelf arrangement. Ventura II has the normal, more acceptable, and more expensive roll up and down rear window. Several of our competitors feature the less expensive swing out window. Price-wise, we are very competitive when you consider all our plus features. In some cases, the difference is so small as to be insignificant. In 2 or 3 situations, we are the less expensive model. It all adds up to a solid sales potential. There is one competitor we haven't compared, Nova. Now, you know and I know it's basically the same car. However, I think that our front and rear end treatments are more appealing. They look like more money has gone into them, and it has. Further, we have the Pontiac name going for us, recognized as more prestigious than Chevrolet. Finally, and this applies to all our competition, as well as Nova, we have a brand new name and model on the market at a time when our announcement competes with no one. Ventura II is going to boost our sales, not just in this new compact market, but in our other lines also, particularly the Le Mans. And here's why. Now, this T37 sells for just $2,795, about $350 more than the Ventura II Coupe. Later in the program, we're going to show you that this price difference isn't really that much when we talk trading differences. Now, Ventura II is a lot of value, but look what you get in T37 for the extra money. The front end is much longer, much richer looking, heavier looking, features dual headlamps instead of single. Track and overall width are significantly greater. T37 is almost 1.5 feet longer, with slightly longer wheelbase, and the car is considerably heavier. The rear end obviously presents the image of a bigger, more expensive car. The interior is much more roomy in every way, including front and rear seat legroom. The trim, well, it speaks for itself. A definite upgrade from Ventura II. Of course, cigar lighter and carpeting and the day-night mirror are all standard. Now, so far as options go, there are so many more available on T37. Things like power seats, power windows, power door locks, power brakes. For the prospect who thinks he wants a small, compact car, but a luxury car at the same time, the Le Mans series is definitely the answer. The big thing here is for you to take control of the sale and see that his needs are answered from available inventory. Upper-level ventilation on T37 is standard, not available on Ventura II. Now, so far as engines go, T37 has the same standard engine as Ventura II. But if your prospect is really interested in performance, he can get it with T37, whereas he can't with Ventura II. T37 has 4 engine options, all the way up to a 455 cubic inch V8, delivering 325 gross horsepower. Another step up for the T37 buyer is big car construction, separate frame and body. That means a softer, big car ride, a quieter ride, a more comfortable ride, and you get the full treatment of standard GM features, including side guard door beams. You do get a lot of extra value in significant features. T37 is bigger, roomier, richer looking inside and out, a better riding, quieter car. Now, they're the facts. Now, I haven't tried to tell you how to use these facts when your Ventura II prospect seems like a possibility to move up to a T37. I just wanted to remind you of the major points so you can work them into your own presentation. Now, one more point. When your performance car prospect starts talking about the Sprint Ventura II, maybe wanting to talk about other performance models also, let him know about the GT37. The difference between the Sprint Ventura II and the GT37 is just over $300 without considering trading difference and the fact that the GT is a hardtop. And think about what you get in the GT37 package in addition to the Sprint items. Dual exhausts, hood locking pins, and a right-hand mirror, as well as a left-hand mirror. Both body colored. It's a real buy. The fact of the matter is that all Pontiacs offer excellent competitive values, not just Ventura II. And many of your Ventura II prospects are going to realize that fact when you show them. Ventura II, it's going to mean a lot of extra savings.
This is Mr. Marv Suloff and his son Mark Suloff. They just bought this good-looking Ford Mustang. Did you shop around for many cars before you bought this one?
Yes, we went to several different places, several different manufacturers, and we looked at Chrysler products, GM products, and Ford.
Was this the car that you wanted, Mark?
Well, I didn't know that he was going to get this car. I thought he was going to get the Pinto, and because we had been going around, you know, and he wanted to get a small car because he has to travel a long ways to work.
Why did you buy the car from this particular dealer, Mr. Suloff?
Well, we, as my son said, we went in to get a Pinto to start with. We wanted a small economy car. But after I was in the showroom, I thought the economy car was too small. So this particular car struck my eye. I liked the styling. It had a, I don't know, classic look to it. And it happened that at this particular dealer, I had purchased a car a couple of years ago. So the salesman was the same salesman that I dealt with before. He was very friendly, remembered me, remembered my name. That helps. And so I asked him about this car, and we managed to make a deal very quickly.
When he brought home the Mustang, you know, he didn't even know what the horsepower, the cubic inches was.
I still don't.
So, you know, he thought it was the small 8, you know, but he didn't even know if it was an 8-cylinder, you know. He go, I drove it around. No, you said it was an 8, right? Mm-hmm. And then he didn't tell me, and all of a sudden I feel this great pickup, and I think, wow, this is the biggest 6 I've ever heard in my life, you know. And I opened up the hood, and it's a 302, and I thought, wow, that's a...
Mark, did you look at the Pontiacs?
No, we didn't look at any of the Pontiacs. My dad said there was a money factor, you know, involved in the car, and then he ended up getting the Mustang, and he just wouldn't let me go out and look for him. So I guess he just wouldn't let us, you know. He thought it would be too much money. I wanted to go out and get a Firebird or something, but, you know, he said that it just cost too much.
Mr. Suloff, what do you think of Pontiacs?
Oh, I think it's a fine car. I own a Bonneville. I just traded in a Tempest on the Mustang I have here.
As you've seen, Ventura II is a fine car and a strong addition to our full line of Pontiacs. And you've gotten a lot of good pointers on how to use Ventura II most effectively to increase your number of actual delivered cars. But there's one thought I want to leave with you regarding the use of Ventura II to sell other Pontiacs. Qualify your prospects carefully. If he's really interested in a Ventura II, and that car seems to best satisfy his needs, his wants, and his capability to pay, and he's willing to wait for delivery, then write him up. On the other hand, if he seems to need a little bigger car, or indicates he might spend a little more money, and he's not willing to wait, then show him some of your in-stock value buys. A T37, a Le Mans, a Catalina. When you break down the difference in price between one of these cars and a Ventura II on a monthly or even weekly basis, the difference is very small. And if the larger car is what he really needs and wants, he'll be happier in the long run. And I know you will, because a pocket full of real Le Mans or Catalina money is worth a barrel full of Ventura II unfilled orders. Use this new addition to the Pontiac family in the right way, and you'll make more money.
Maybe I will someday, you know. I'll be a millionaire and I'll go buy a Pontiac.
But I also looked at the Pontiacs. I was very interested in this new one they got out, and you know, but I had a good offer and a good deal, and I made my mind up and traded.
What's this new Granville?
I thought the Pontiacs were too expensive. Pontiac's a good car, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of them on the road. But I'm an Oldsmobile man.
No, I didn't consider the Pontiac.
Well, I've had 2 Pontiac Grand Prix before this, and I liked it, but I decided to change after they went back to the smaller style of the Pontiac Grand Prix.
The Pontiac cost about $100 more, comparably equipped.
No, Cliff, I honestly didn't consider a Granville.
Oh, I think Pontiac's fine. I own a Bonneville, and I traded in the Tempest for this Mustang I have here.
Pontiac's great. We just didn't buy one.
Hi, I'm Ed Kennard, Pontiac's General Sales Manager. What you've just seen are excerpts from interviews with people who have recently bought 1971 competitive products. You'll get a chance to see more of them as the program goes on and hear in their own words why they bought their 71 cars. You'll also see some 1971 Pontiac owners and hear what they think about our product. Why are we doing this? Well, the old-style competitive comparison programs just doesn't seem to fit the 70s. It used to be great because there were a lot of major competitive differences in products. And you could use these advantages and differences to sell cars. Who'll ever forget wide track? But now, everybody's tread's about the same. Take transmissions. You could sell Hydromatic over Dynaflow, or power front disc brakes over drum brakes, or a car was significantly longer or wider or heavier. But now, the specifications on comparable cars are about the same. And cars, all cars, GM or competitive makes, are good cars, and people know this. Styling is becoming even more similar. I think you'll agree. So what we need to know to sell cars is why people are buying the cars they do buy. What's the best way to find out? Ask them. And that's what we've done. Consider the sporty car buyer.
This is Mr. Marv Suloff and his son Mark Suloff. They just bought this good-looking Ford Mustang. Did you shop around for many cars before you bought this one?
Yes, we went to several different places, several different manufacturers, and we looked at Chrysler product, GM products, and Ford.
Was this the car that you wanted, Mark?
Well, I didn't know that he was going to get this car. I thought he was going to get the Pinto, and because we had been going around, you know, and he wanted to get a small car because he has to travel a long ways to work.
Why did you buy the car from this particular dealer, Mr. Suloff?
Well, as my son said, we went in to get a Pinto to start with. We wanted a small economy car. But after I was in the showroom, I thought the economy car was too small. So this particular car struck my eye. I liked the styling. It had a, I don't know, classic look to it. And it happened that at this particular dealer, I had purchased a car a couple of years ago. So the salesman was the same salesman that I dealt with before. Very friendly, remembered me, remembered my name. That helps. And so I asked him about this car, and we managed to make a deal very quickly.
But when he brought home the Mustang, you know, he didn't even know what the horsepower, the cubic inches was.
I still don't.
So, you know, he thought it was the small 8, you know, but he didn't even know if it was an 8-cylinder, you know. He go, I drove it around. No, you said it was an 8, right? Mm-hmm. And then he didn't tell me, and all of a sudden I feel this great pickup, and I think, wow, this is the biggest 6 I've ever heard in my life, you know. And I opened up the hood, and it's a 302, and I thought, wow, that's a...
Mark, did you look at the Pontiacs?
No, we didn't look at any of the Pontiacs. My dad said there was a money factor, you know, involved in the car, and then he ended up getting the Mustang, and he just wouldn't let me go out and look for him. So I guess he just wouldn't let us, you know. He thought it would be too much money. I wanted to go out and get a Firebird or something, but, you know, he said that it just cost too much.
Mr. Suloff, what do you think of Pontiacs?
Oh, I think it's a fine car. I own a Bonneville. I just traded in a Tempest on the Mustang I have here.
Dick White's a financial analyst with a bank, and he just bought this brand new Esprit. Dick, how do you like your new Firebird?
I like it very much.
What features about it do you like?
I like the ride and the handling most of all.
You have a family? Is this your family car?
Yes, it is. There's 4 of us in the family. 2 children.
Have you had it on any trips yet?
Not really on any trips, but we all fit very nicely.
Have you ever owned a Pontiac before?
No, I haven't. This is the first one. I've owned other General Motors products, but never a Pontiac.
What cars did you have before this?
I've had 2 Delta Oldsmobiles. Of course, this is going from one extreme to the other, very large to quite small.
What prompted you to do this?
Well, since we moved to Detroit, we didn't need a small car, a large car. So we first thought of getting an intermediate, you know, not making such a great change. But when we looked, we compared most of the General Motors intermediates and had kind of narrowed it down to Pontiac Le Mans. But then my wife saw the Firebird, and she didn't know what it was. And when she sat in it, she thought it was much more comfortable than a Le Mans. So I tried it, and I had the impression that a Firebird was very uncomfortable, because a friend of mine had one which was 3 or 4 years old. Seats were very hard in it, but apparently the concept of the Firebird has changed considerably in the past few years, and this is really a much more comfortable car than I've ever sat in before.
Well, if this car continues to perform as it's done for the short time you've had it, do you think you'd consider another Pontiac?
Yes, I would.
Did your dealer, how were you treated at the dealership?
Very nice. Of course, the dealer was kind of surprised when I said change it from a Le Mans to a Firebird. The only thing he said, you can't get your Christmas tree in the trunk. And he said, well, we'll see what happens come Christmas time.
Did you take a demonstration drive before you bought the car?
Yes, it did. Yeah, because I had never ridden in a, more recent Firebird. So I tried one out, and I liked it very much.
Did the salesman suggest you take a test drive, or?
No. He figured I knew what I wanted because I had looked around and compared the features of various cars, what they had on them, and the only bad thing was that I couldn't find anything on the, actual specifications or details on, what's in the car as far as the, like in the Firebird, they have a sway bar, and they have staggered shock absorbers in the rear. There was nothing in the Pontiac manuals, brochures that said anything about this, so I had to get, some of the public magazines on automobiles, and they usually cover them pretty well.
Yeah, that's true, they do.
So, and they spoke very highly of the Firebird.
There you have 2 buyers. One buys a Mustang, one a Firebird. Why? Consider the Mustang buyer first. He traded a Tempest in on his Mustang. Didn't even shop for a Firebird because of the money factor. In all fairness, he started out looking at small economy cars and decided on a Pinto. But then a good salesman upgraded him to a Mustang. And this was the same salesman who sold him a car 2 years previously. He went back to the same dealer because he was satisfied with his treatment. And now suppose his Pontiac salesman had stayed in touch. Maybe, just maybe, when he decided to buy the Mustang instead of the Pinto, he would have gone back and looked at the Firebird too. And then we would have had a chance to keep him in the family. Another point, he bought the Mustang because it would appeal to his son. As these children of your customers reach driving age, they become a definite influence and eventually potential customers in their own right. It pays to stay in touch with your customers and their family. The Firebird owner just goes to prove there's no specific customer for a specific model. You've known that all along, but this is the real proof. He owns 2 Delta 88s, then he's married with 2 children, and he goes to a Firebird for a family car. You gotta be flexible. The point here is, the Le Mans was probably a better car for him, and I think he'll recognize that fact in a year or so. If I were his salesman, I'd stay in close touch because he's very likely to move back to a larger car in less than the normal trading time. Now, this young man was the exception to most of our interviews because he was interested in detailed product features. When your prospect asks questions, such as staggered shocks or sway bars, you need to know the answers. It wouldn't hurt to keep car magazines with favorable product stories in your desk drawer either. Okay, why else did he buy a Firebird? He took a demonstration drive and learned the car rode well, contrary to his experience with a friend's earlier Firebird. The demonstration drive, a real sales technique. And there you have it, why two different people bought two different cars. To give you a better idea of just how Mustang and Firebird compare in general, here's Frank J., who gave you the facts in the 71 product review. Frank?
Hello. Let me say right now, we are not going into a lot of detailed specs in this meeting. You have various manuals that cover everything thoroughly, and you'll be getting your competitive comparison booklet in this meeting. What we will cover are the major points. Okay, Firebird and Mustang. Comparably equipped, there's only about $100 difference in the two cars with six-cylinder engines. But if you go to a V8, which most buyers do, then Firebird's standard engine delivers 40 more horsepower than the Mustang V8 and is a bigger engine. What you have to offer is performance. Get up and go. And that's what a lot of sporty car buyers are looking for. And then there's styling. Fresh, new styling that has proved itself, that's been accepted as something special. It's hard to pin down specifics on an interior. It's more of a feeling. Just be sure you sit your prospect down in a Firebird, particularly the Esprit, and he'll know he's in a richer atmosphere than a Mustang. He'll know he's comfortable. Remember, the Firebird owner's wife recognized that immediately. And while your prospect is there, take him on a demonstration drive. This car handles and rides like a dream. You know that. Show him. It all adds up to one overall advantage. Pontiac prestige, quality, and reliability, recognized as better than Ford, all for just $100 or so. This is a story a prospect will listen to. But you've got to have a prospect or a customer before you can tell that story, before you can take him on a demonstration drive. It all comes back to, why do people really buy a car? Consider the intermediates.
This is Mrs. Jan Chitterow. We just bought this Plymouth about 2 weeks ago. Jan, how do you like the car?
I really like it very much.
Did you shop around for any other cars before you bought this one?
No, other than looking, you know.
You did look? What'd you look at?
Well, the Roadrunner, mostly the Chrysler products.
Most of the Chrysler products?
Right.
Have you always owned Chrysler products?
No, we've owned Fords and Mercurys. We had one Mercury and a Ford car.
What kind of car does your husband drive?
A 68 Fury.
You think he'd buy another one?
Yes, I do.
From the same dealer?
Yes, I do think he'd buy from the same dealer.
Why? What?
He really likes this fellow. He likes the way he does business. He likes his approach, and he just likes him. He's followed him from one dealership to another.
Or the salesman went from one dealership to another?
He was a salesman, and then he went into his own dealership. And we liked him so well that we followed him whenever we buy our new cars.
What particular features about the Sebring sold you on this car?
Well, the first thing was the chrome. I like the chrome front, and I like the massive chrome in the back.
Any other features, particularly now that you've had the car for a while?
Well, and I should say, to the streamlinedness and the fact that it's roomy in the back. Now, I take 5 boys for papers, and I fit them all in, and I have room enough also in the trunk for my papers.
That's very good.
So that's a good feature.
This is Mrs. Grace Doran, who's just purchased a brand new Torino.
Do you interview many old ladies like I am?
No. I understand you've been driving for a long time, Mrs. Dahl.
Well, as a matter of fact, I've been driving since I was 12 years old, which is well over 50 years now.
What prompted you to go to a smaller car than this kind?
Well, I like the power of this car. It's an 8-cylinder. And it's in traffic now. I don't want a great big car. And anyway, I can't afford a great big car. So this was what I wanted price-wise. And it had the things on it that I like, power steering and automatic transmission, and a radio. I like a radio.
Did you shop around for other cars?
Yes, well, by telephone, really. I didn't go to too many dealers. But I think in the back of my mind, this car, when it was described to me, answered my needs, really.
Well, how did the salesman treat you at the
Well,
Ford
it
dealership?
was peculiar. He wasn't a high-pressure salesman at all, and one thing I enjoyed very much, I asked if I could drive the car before I bought it, or before I decided. And he was very gracious, and we took a nice ride out on Woodward Avenue and all the traffic and so forth. And the car pleased me, it fit me, and it's big enough for me. And I think that was really the whole thing, that I enjoyed driving it.
Well, you said he allowed you to drive it before you bought it. Have you ever had any problem this way before?
I don't think anybody else ever let me drive a car. I've been a widow a long time, and I bought lots of cars by myself. But I don't think any other salesman has ever given me the go-ahead to drive the car.
When you were shopping around, did the salesman that you talked to on the phone ask for your phone number or your name?
Oh, yes, they all did. Some I gave them to. It depended on the price of the car and so forth. I mean, while I was doing that telephone shopping, I wanted to find out various things, and certainly they all asked for my name because I'm a prospective buyer.
Did anybody ever call you back?
No, as a matter of fact, they didn't.
Bob Collins, high school chemistry teacher. Bob, how do you like your Malibu?
Like it real well.
Did you shop around for a car before you bought this one?
Yeah, I looked at a number of different kinds of cars, the Pontiac Tempest, the Ford Mustang, Oldsmobile Cutlass, plus the Chevelle.
Did you buy this from the same dealer that you bought your last car from?
No, we lived in Kalamazoo at the time, and we bought from a dealer there. Now we live in Detroit and bought from a dealer here.
Well, tell me something. You're shopping around. Did the salesman really try to sell you? Did they take you for demonstration rides or anything like that, or how were you treated in general?
No, I don't think I was high-pressured or anything of the sort. The salesmen were cooperative, seemed to be interested in doing what I needed, mostly.
Well, what features impressed you most about this Chevelle that made you want to buy it?
I think probably the maintenance as much as anything. The Chevelle I had before was very fine that way. It's an intermediate-sized car, which is nice in town and yet rides nicely on the highway. I have power steering on this one the first time, and air conditioning, both features that I was interested in having.
Would you say the intermediate car would be your preference, irregardless of money?
I believe so, because I drive perhaps half my driving in town and half on the highway.
I see. What new features are on the Chevelle this year? Did you?
I don't believe the Chevelle's changed much from last year. Different from the old Chevelle, one thing that I like very much is the little buzzer on the key. A lot of people don't like that, I know, but it saved me from locking my keys in at least once already, so that's something I do like.
Ken Stokes manages a jewelry store. This is his new Cutlass S. Ken, did you look at any other cars before you bought this one?
Yeah, I looked around. I was looking at a Mercury Cougar, and then I had settled on buying a Javelin from American Motors. And the price was high for the car, and I looked at it for 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah?
And I kept thinking, you know, $4,300 for a Rambler. Yeah, how on earth could I do this, you know? So I was riding downtown. I had written a paper, the whole shot. I was riding downtown to have the loan okayed, and I rode by the Oldsmobile dealer, just sitting right there in the showroom. And I just got out, looked at it, bought it that night.
Did your wife get a chance to see it before you bought it?
She came out that night. It was between this and a 442.
Yeah.
And for insurance purposes, I went with this one. She liked it a lot better.
The 442?
No, this one.
This one? Ken, how were you treated by the salesman that sold you the Cutlass?
Relatively well. He wasn't bad. The car, I sold myself on the car more or less. You know, I knew what I wanted. I saw it. And what he said didn't make that much difference to me, really. But he was nice. He was friendly. What I really did like was everybody there. You know, it wasn't just the salesman. And this is very true. They all came out when I bought the car. They were shaking my hand, you know. And they all showed me how to work the little different things, and it was courteous from the word go. And there was some, like I said, I looked at quite a few cars, and the salesman almost feels like he's doing you a favor by waiting on you, trying to take your money, you know. And I don't go for that, really. But I was treated well.
Do you plan to take it back to the dealership for service?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things I got to take care of, but they're just, you know, engine tune-ups and whatnot.
Obviously, you were sold on Oldsmobiles before you even went in to buy this, so what caused you to like an Oldsmobile so much?
My father had one. I think he's had 15 in the last 20 years, you know. And my father-in-law's got one. Nobody's got any grief with him, you know. And it's a name when you look at somebody and you say, I just bought an Oldsmobile. It demands respect. It's automatic. There's no question, you know. It's a good car. You know, you did well.
Mrs. Janet Schaefer just bought this Le Mans. Mrs. Schaefer, I understand another member of your family had quite a bit to do with buying this car.
Yes, we have a teenage son who has just been driving for about a year, and we've been driving station wagons for quite a while. So we decided when it was time to get a new car, we'd get something a little bit sportier. So this took us around to the various car dealers looking at sports cars, and first and foremost was Corvette Stingray, which we thought was very, very nice, but not quite the car for a 17-year-old boy to drive. So when we finally ended up at the Pontiac dealer.
How were you treated at the Pontiac dealership?
Very well. I was very pleased with the salesman and his approach to the type of car he thought we ought to have, since we have a teenage son that will be driving it most of the time. We had been looking at the Corvette Stingray, but he honestly gave some very good points for not having that kind of a car. And my son, he honestly went along with it and agreed to the things that he said.
Well, what were there any particular features about the car that made you want to buy this particular one?
Well, the fact that it was a very sporty looking car, and this is what we were hoping to get, something that was sporty but not a real high-powered car that would not be a problem insurance-wise and just to have on the road.
Well, now that you've had the car, I know you drive it some yourself. How do you like the car? What features about it do you like?
Well, I like the fact I can get real close to the steering wheel, and the seats are very comfortable. Never having had a car with bucket seats, but I think they're marvelous. And I feel quite sporty in it.
Beginning to see a pattern? Take the lady who bought the Sebring. She and her husband liked this salesman, even followed him when he opened his own dealership. She liked the styling of the Sebring, the roominess, etc. But let's face it, she would have bought some kind of car from that dealer, no matter what the styling, within reason, of course. She didn't even shop other cars or dealers. They like him because they've been treated well. The delightful lady that bought the Torino went telephone shopping, and everybody asked her name and number, but nobody called her back. The Torino salesman must have done a good job because she went down to look at the car. Then he did, in her experience anyway, an unforgettable thing. He allowed her to take a demonstration drive. He was gracious enough to take her out for a drive. How about that? No wonder she bought the car. This salesman sold her a car. The school teacher who bought the Malibu, he shopped around, including, as he called it, the Tempest. But he ended up buying another Chevelle because he had good experiences with maintenance, and he didn't want to spend the extra $100 for the Le Mans. Now, the Cutlass buyer was impressed with the Oldsmobile name, mainly because his father had driven Oldsmobiles for years, and his new father-in-law drove one. There's another instance of the reason for a salesman staying in touch with his customer's family. When the young man bought his first car, it should have been an Olds. Or when the daughter got married, her father's salesman should have been on the ball and contacting the new son-in-law. Anyway, the dealer lucked out and should have a long-time customer. He made a great start. Remember? All the dealership people came out to look at his new car and made him feel great about buying it. In his words, in the other dealerships, the salesman feels like he's doing you a favor by selling you a car. Contrast that thought with the salesman who sold the Le Mans to the Sun instead of the Corvette. And I say sold because he must have done a great job. You saw what his mother thought of that salesman. He took the time and the effort to help her. And I bet he has a customer for life. Two of them, the mother and the son, if he continues to take care of them. Why do they buy cars? Sure, you know it. It's because they're sold cars. That's why. It's because of good salesmen who know how to keep their customers coming back. Of course, when you've got them there, you've got to have a good story to tell. And Pontiac's got it. Frank, how about the intermediates?
Well, you've seen the product features of our intermediate line in the product review, and you know we have the features to sell a prospect. For example, you remember the interiors for the Sebring in Torino? Very neat, very nice, a real advance for the Sebring. But still, when your prospect sits in a Le Mans, he'll feel the difference. It's a richer interior. Let me give you a few facts about our competitive position in the intermediate line. First, four-door hardtops. Now, I realize this is not a big volume market, but you do have a definite position of leadership here. Dodge and Plymouth, out of business. They offer no four-door hardtop models. Buick and Oldsmobile, both the Le Mans and Le Mans Sport four-door hardtops are less money than the least expensive Buick or Oldsmobile comparably equipped. Two models under Buick and Olds. The difference in price between our Le Mans four-door hardtop and Malibu is only $27, $88 for the Torino 500. The reason for the close price with the Malibu is that you can only get the Chevy four-door with a V8 engine. Okay, two-door hardtops. Now, here's the situation. You know you have a price advantage with Buick and Oldsmobile, whether you're selling T37 against the Cutlass and Skylark or Le Mans against the Skylark Custom and Cutlass S. Same story with the Le Mans Sport. The big story here is comparable trim with the same size, power, etc., for less money. Make a prospect believe in Pontiac prestige and quality for less money, and he'll buy. Okay, let's take a look at some non-family competition. You have T37 and Le Mans two-door hardtops, both selling for less money than the least expensive Charger. And you can see the prospect in the Pontiac, and he'll know right away he's in a better quality interior. Take him on a demonstration drive, and he'll know it's a better ride. This is an unbeatable situation. Okay, the Plymouth Sebring. Now, it's a restyled car this year, and let's face it, it is good looking, but no better than our Le Mans. And we still have that Pontiac prestige and quality, ride, and handling advantage over Plymouth, plus an excellent price situation. Our Le Mans costs just $16 more than the Sebring. And if necessary, you can sell down to a T37 and save your prospect about $100. The Plymouth salesman can't sell down. He has nowhere to go. It's his least expensive model. The situation is much the same with Montego MX, Torino 500, and Malibu. For very little more money, a prospect can buy a Le Mans, a Pontiac, rather than a Ford, Mercury, or Chevrolet. Then, if you need to sell down, the T37 is less money. The little old lady we interviewed who thought Pontiac was too expensive, and the school teacher who bought the Malibu for about $100 less, he was wrong, by the way, there's only $67 difference, both could have been sold a T37 for less money than they paid. When you get an intermediate prospect to talk to, and there's the big thing, developing a prospect, you do have a good product story to tell.
beginning of tomorrow. This is the beginning of the way it's gonna be for you and me. This is the beginning of tomorrow. This is the beginning of the way it's gonna be for you and me. Pontiac begins a great tomorrow. This is the beginning of the way it's gonna be for you and me. Fast and young and full of fun to drive. Track so wide it makes it fun to be is the beginning of tomorrow. This is the beginning of tomorrow. This is the beginning of the way it's gonna be for you and me. Pontiac begins a great tomorrow. This is the beginning of the way it's gonna be for you and me. Pontiac, fast and young and full of fun to drive. Track so wide it makes it great to be alive. This is the beginning of tomorrow.